Welcome to another episode of Game Boy Roulette, where we take a look at randomly chosen games from the Game Boy library.
Dick Tracy, haha, funny first name. Dating all the way back nearly 100 years to 1934, Dick Tracy is one of the most long-standing characters in American culture. His relevancy may have waned over the years, as he's pretty much relegated to one-off comics, but the legendary detective still remains a true icon for his square face, colorful cast of villains, and his two-way radio watch, which incidentally was a direct influence on the creation of the first ever cell phone. The comics themselves were all over the place with fantastic elements, gritty crime, and a shocking amount of murder. And of course, there was the 1990 movie, which attempted to turn the cartoony style live action to, well, absolutely mesmerizing results. Not to say it was good or bad, it was just, God, look at those faces. They're hypnotic. And it was that 1990 movie that kicked off the first and only wave of Dick Tracy video games. There were a variety of them, released for the NES, Genesis, computers, and of course the Game Boy. The most well-known of these, the version for the NES, didn't really go over so well, with impossibly high difficulty and confusing gameplay that mixed detective investigation with side-scrolling platforming, and did neither one well, although it did make for one of the best episodes of Angry Video Game Nerd years later. And it's really surprising that there are so few Dick Tracy games. He's a fairly well-known cultural staple. You could easily get both investigative, thoughtful gameplay and action-oriented shooting. Hell, with the ridiculous cast of characters, you could even justify a hero shooter. But given that the Game Boy one was made by the same team as the infamous NES one, well, I'm not holding my breath for quality here. At the very least, we can admire this gorgeous box art. I love the style Dick Tracy art always had, somehow feeling minimalist, but still having detail, and the use of bright colors on Dick's jacket versus the shadowy backdrop. Just excellent. Too bad we won't see any of that in this game. But what about that game anyway? Let's call into the chief with Dick Tracy. Ooh, we finally get some music on the title screen. Dick Tracy. That's a cool logo. I like the way he's all shadow. Like, since it's gonna be black and white, they better get kinda artsy with this art. Alright, let's do it. Ooh. Waddle, 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 waddle. Oh, they're gonna blow up the prison, aren't they? They did. Oh, Stripe Man is escaping. Okay, I know the character's name is Big Boy, but I like to think it's not, and they're just telling us that a big boy has escaped. Oh, that art's so good. Shoulders was the last thug to visit. Big Boy in jail. Oh, I love the way they have the shadows and the art. Oh, this is so good. But how's the game itself? What? Ooh, the music is chaotic. Okay, I have 6 hearts. I have 0. I have 1. Okay, so I'm looking for, like, what is that? Like a torn photo? Hi. This isn't doing anything, is it? I have to get closer. There we go. It's just the side scroll. Did someone just drop a safe on me? So it looks like it's just the side-scrolly bit of the NES game. And not the part where you, like, drive around the city and solve things. Okay, they are dropping safes on me. You think one of those would be enough. Oh, I got another, shark fin? What am I picking up in the corner? We could do this all day. Ooh, this is not very good. Oh, I'm so glad I dodged that. This is slow and awkward. No. It's a beat-em-up, but the actual beat-em-up part is very, very bad. Oh, is that a gun? I can finally shoot people. I feel like in the NES game, you could only shoot people who were armed, but I don't know if the mechanics are going to be the same. Oh, tear gas! That's what that was. I was like, is that spray paint? Oh, God. I think that was just a straight-up grenade. I'm curious. I need to look up the manual really quick. Nice pause sound effect to see what those things I'm picking up are. Wow, the info I just got. You have to pick up those. These things I'm picking up are clues. At the end of each stage, you have to have gotten all 12 and assemble a jigsaw puzzle to move on to the next stage. But if you miss even one clue and they get progressively harder to find, then the whole stage restarts. That sucks. Okay, got a clue. Oh, man. So if you miss even one of those clues, you have to restart the level. Why did that explode? It's an interesting idea. Ooh, part 2. There's a clue right there. Chandelier. What? interesting idea. Collect the clues to move on. But, man, missing one and you have to restart the level? That is so unfair. What did I just do? I gotta say though, even without that mechanic, this just isn't a very interesting game. I've played worse. This one's just kinda bland and boring. The clue mechanic is interesting, but I don't think in a good way. I am at least curious enough to play ahead to see what happens when you get all the clues, to see what the next stage is like, if it changes up at all. I'm not confident. But maybe like, and it also seems, according to the guide, that if you collect all the clues and you assemble them properly, because you actually have to assemble them like a jigsaw puzzle later, you get a bonus. That's decent. That's a fun idea. Make the game easier with all your clues. Tying, being able to progress in the game to picking up all the clues? I mean, I guess it could be done well, but I don't think this is being done well. Alright, I'm gonna now keep playing and jump ahead to the end of the stage once we have all 12 clues and can move on. Alright, exit. Please be something interesting. Oh! What the? Am I fighting Donkey Kong? Oh, man, this is not very good. Okay. We killed Shoulders. We have all 12 pieces. What happens now? This looks like a torn up photo that I've been holding on to. Let's piece it together. Oh, there's a time limit? Penitentiary. This should go up here. Okay, at least it gives you a sound. Okay, this is an interesting little idea. I just don't quite think it worked out well. This should just be like a bonus. This shouldn't be a prerequisite to getting to the next stage. Interesting idea here. Should not have been tied to actually getting to the next stage. Is the next stage going to be any different? Nope. I was curious to see if it did anything interesting with the puzzle mechanic, and admittedly it did, but it just wasn't interesting enough. I can't believe I get to say this, but maybe this is as good as Dick ever gets. Okay, my too hot for TV jokes aside, let's cut to the chase. This game just wasn't very good, but this isn't a case of it being completely terrible or unplayable. Rather, it's one of those bland platformers that didn't do anything specifically awful, but also didn't do anything well. The platforming was uninspired, the punching didn't have enough reach, and the levels were laid out as basic and boring as possible. It also had the classic problems of being hard to avoid taking damage from enemies, and the backgrounds not really evolving as you moved back and forth, so you had no idea if you were making progress or not. The boss didn't liven anything up either, and that's where the creativity is supposed to be on display. Not a whole lot else to say, it simply wasn't very good. And while I normally appreciate adding things in between levels to liven up the game, they made one fatal mistake that turned them from enjoyable to stressful. Collecting clue pieces to assemble a jigsaw puzzle with a minigame to earn extra lives and power-ups is a great idea. However, tying that to actually being able to make progress was a terrible idea. It meant that a single mistake, a single missed piece, and you had to restart the entire boring level and go through multiple stages again. And since the pieces were easy to miss and apparently get even easier to miss later, it's artificially lengthening the gameplay while making it significantly more annoying. It's frustrating because a solid platformer plus some solid exploration could have made this a fun game. Instead, it just made a not great game even worse. I have played games much worse than this, but there's nothing about this one actually worth playing. There are plenty of better platformers for the Game Boy, so stick with those and steer clear of Dick Tracy. And I'm sad that we don't get to see if the guy with the huge ass is a boss fight. That's not a joke, by the way. That's literally one of Dick Tracy's villains. And that's all for another episode of Game Boy Roulette. Make sure to like the video, comment, and subscribe to follow the series as we continue to dig through the Game Boy vault. I'm Brian J, and I'll see you next time.